Hi, guys. Happy Tuesday. I hope you're doing great. And if you're in our local area, you are getting geared up for school to start back. If you have kids, you know that's a crazy busy time. If you don't have kids, get ready for the traffic because here it comes. It's about to get a lot busier in the mornings and in the evenings, afternoons, that type thing. So, we get a ton of questions about GLP-1s, and I've done many different talks about them. These are the weight loss shots that are out there. They are one of our most potent medications for weight loss. But what people don't realize is this is actually a natural hormone. GLP-1 is something your own body makes. It's a hormone that your own body makes. And there are ways that you can increase it naturally because these medications are costly. Not all insurance pays for it. They are meant to be lifelong medications. They're hard to get off of. They do have some side effects that some people can tolerate, sometimes they can't. So if GLP-1 is either something you don't want to do for weight loss, or you would like to have, but you're not ready for lifelong treatment, or it's just not covered from your insurance, so it's not an option. What can you do to help make more of your natural GLP-1 and get some of the benefits of this hormone? Because honestly, I believe that our American lifestyle, our lack of sleep, the way we work indoors, not as much physical labor, our processed foods, maybe even the toxins that are in our food and in our environment have led to a suppression of GLP-1. And the ways that we are eating are stimulating that suppression even further. It's just leading to a bad situation that's worsening the obesity epidemic. So if we can each work to make more of our own natural GLP-1, maybe we can start making headway, and maybe it's something that can help you in your journey. So let's dive in to just some practical things and some things that I found that can be helpful with increasing GLP-1. The first is adequate sleep. So there's been some small research studies that have shown when sleep is deprived, it downregulates the production of GLP-1, meaning your body just doesn't pump out as much. You've kind of seen this. If you don't sleep well or you don't get enough hours of sleep, your hunger is out of control, and GLP-1 controls your hunger. So it kind of makes sense. So work on your sleep pattern. And we've got a different video on that I did sometime last year on sleep and practical ways to improve your sleep. So if you need some tidbits and hints, go back and look at that one. But work on your sleep pattern. Make sure you have enough hours of sleep so that you can make more of your natural GLP-1. Exercise. So exercise is great. Its biggest benefit is making your muscles more insulin sensitive. Your muscles are your biggest organ group in your entire body. So if you take your largest organ group and make it more insulin sensitive, there's a connection, an interplay between insulin sensitivity and insulin production, and also GLP-1 hormones. Short story is, the more insulin sensitive you are, the better your GLP-1 status is. So sleep, exercise, two things you can do outside of your eating habits that can stimulate this hormone and help you with your natural production. Now let's get into what you can eat. The first thing you should do if you really want to stimulate GLP-1 is have adequate protein intake. Protein activates your gut to produce more of that. It also turns the satiety signal off in your brain, or turns off the hunger signal, increasing the satiety signal, which is largely due to GLP-1. So protein is most readily available and most absorbed through your animal products. So like your meats, your eggs, a little bit of your dairy. There are some plant-based version of proteins, but honestly, plant-based protein is not as absorbed, it's not as easily absorbed and utilized by the human body as your animal versions of protein. How much protein should you get? Well, there's kind of a range. The minimum amount that I want you to get is about 1 milligram per kilogram of ideal body weight. So kind of take what you would normally want to weigh. So say you normally wanted to weigh 100 pounds. It's not, it's just easy math for me. Roughly about half of that's going to be turn into kilograms. And so around 50 grams of protein is where you want to be. But you can go upwards of 1 gram, and I've been saying milligrams, it's actually grams. You can go upwards of 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. So say my ideal body weight is 120, then I can get upwards of 120 grams of protein, but the least amount of protein that I would want to get would be 60 grams of protein. And honestly, I don't recommend anyone get under 60 grams of protein unless you're on dialysis and have extreme renal failure. That would be the only situation that I would say you would not want to get a minimum of 60, but you can go upwards of a pound per 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. So in my case, that would be anywhere between 110 and 120 and no less than 60. So protein is that. And when it comes to protein, always focus on the proteins you enjoy. For example, if you hate shrimp, don't eat shrimp. You're not going to eat it for more than one time. So focus on the ones you enjoy so you're more likely to get that in. The next thing is fat. And fat is that word that strikes fear in everybody's heart. Nobody wants it because everybody thinks it's going to make them fat. But fat is a great thing as far as dietary fat. We need it to make hormones, including GLP-1, but also our sex hormones, our estrogen, our testosterone, things like that help keep us young and vibrant and youthful. So it also helps us make new memories. So if you don't have enough fat, you see an increase of dementias and Alzheimer's and things of that nature. But fat in particular activates satiety hormone GLP-1, telling you that you're full, sending your message that you're full, that you need to stop eating. The digestion of fat and protein also takes longer than the digestion of carbohydrates. And so it actually acts like the GLP-1 in slowing production of things through the gut as well. So if you're going higher protein, higher fat, natural dietary fat, then you're going to have more of this GLP-1 hormone. You're going to feel more full and more satisfied. You also need to decrease carbohydrates. And I'm actually going to pull a study on this and maybe do it next week. That the more carbohydrates you have, you actually suppress the production of GLP-1. They don't turn off satiety, especially those higher refined carbs. Now, some carbs can be helpful, like those high in fiber. So think your really high fiber vegetables, like your roughages, your broccolis, and things of that nature. Also, some of your high fiber fruits, like specifically your berries, think raspberries, blueberries, blackberries. They're very dense, very high fiber. The fibrous ones tend to help slow motility through the gut, activate GLP-1. The carbohydrates that are not tend to suppress the production of GLP-1 or just don't stimulate it. So you're not ever feeling full. So think like your potato chips or your potatoes or your pretzels or your crackers or your donuts. Those things don't make you feel full and satisfied long term. So in general, your eating pattern should be higher protein, upwards of 1 gram per ideal body weight, down to about a half a gram per ideal body weight. That'd probably be easier than telling you to do kilograms. Higher natural fats, good quality fats, things like avocados, olives, olive oil, and then the natural fats that occur in meat. And then higher fiber vegetables and less of refined processed carbohydrates. You can also add fermented foods. And that may sound strange, but remember GLP-1, or you might even remember, GLP-1 is made in the gut. So if you're making your gut a healthier place, you're going to be more likely to make healthier things. So when we're thinking fermented vegetables, think like sauerkraut or kimchi. The thing with fermented vegetables, if you're using them to help either right the balance in your gut or to stimulate GLP-1, you're going to have to include them on a regular basis. So potentially every day, a tablespoon or two of fermented vegetables can help. There's also some supplements that can help stimulate the production of GLP-1. So, we've done some lifestyle things, we've done some eating pattern things that can help with GLP-1, but there are some supplements that are out there. And I'm going to say off the bat, this is not medical advice. Please know that all of these supplements have been studied minimally. We have minimal evidence of them, and they're only showing preliminary evidence that they can help with GLP-1. If you choose to take them, you're doing it at your own risk, and you should contact a naturopath or your provider and discuss whether or not these individual supplements are right for you before you decide to take them, because they do interact with medications and certain health care or health issues. So there's my forewarning. Not telling you to take this. I'm just saying this is the evidence that I found. As minimal as it is, these things can increase GLP-1. The first is berberine. So berberine acts a lot in the body, similar to metformin, which is a diabetes medicine most people are familiar with. It helps with your insulin sensitivity. It also has activity in the gut, possibly some activating this GLP-1. And what they found in this study is a dose of about 500 milligrams a day has helped to stimulate GLP-1, not across the board in everybody, but in some people, it does activate it. I'll stop there and say, anytime you add a supplement to your life, if you try it for 30, for sure, if you try it for 60 days and you don't see any benefit, you're not seeing resolution or improvement in any symptoms, it's probably not worth your money to continue to take it. So if you do try any of these 30, 60 days, if you don't notice any difference, stop it, because I don't want you to waste your money on things that aren't being very helpful. But the small study did say berberine 500 milligrams helped for some people. The other one, and I may butcher the name of this, is yerpamate. So it was studied at 1 gram 3 times a day. And I believe this is found in several teas, specifically like green tea, but it was shown to help activate GLP-1. That was yerpamate. And here I'll spell it because I probably did not say it correctly. It's YERBA, and then second word, mate, MATE. And that was 1 gram 3 times a day. Curcumin. Curcumin is, I mainly recommend it for decreasing inflammation. Well, obesity is an inflammatory condition, and maybe it's related to this GLP-1. So there are some studies that curcumin can help with GLP-1 production, and that was at 1,500 milligrams a day of taking that. Side note, curcumin is a blood thinner. So if you have bleeding disorders, you definitely want to consider maybe not taking that one or getting some added advice before you do take it. If you're on blood thinners, added advice before you do take it. Ginseng. There wasn't a dose recommended, but there was some evidence that this helped to suppress appetite through the production of GLP-1. So if you want to do a ginseng tea and don't have any contraindication to doing that, that might be something to consider. There was also a small study that looked at wild bitter gourd. Never heard of wild bitter gourd. It does not sound very appetizing to me, but I do know that bitter things do cut appetite. Who knows? Maybe that's through the GLP-1 activity as well. The study that looked at this one, once again, extremely small, but they came down to about 4.8 grams a day is what it would take to help increase GLP-1 and suppress hunger. There's also been some decent evidence looking at just probiotics in general. Once again, working on better gut flora, making that healthier. The healthier your gut is, the better your gut can make GLP-1 and send that message to your brain. And also acromansia, which is more of a Chinese herb that helps to stimulate GLP-1. It also is doing that through gut health. We here at the clinic recommend the Metagenics line if you're doing supplements, and I know that Metagenics has both a probiotic that has acromansia in it and other things to help with gut flora, as well as a product called the Acromansia Company that also has a high dose of this, plus has green tea, so it's probably getting more of that yerba mate thing in there. Those are 2 products you could try if you wanted to, but make sure you consult your own healthcare provider before doing that. I'll put the link in the show notes if you want to look them up and consider taking them. You can. The probiotic one, I don't see much risk with taking it. The other one with green tea, you might have to watch with some arrhythmia issues or heart issues or blood pressure issues. But as always, contact your provider to know if it is good for you. But I'll put the link there. So I hope these practical tips between the things you can do with your lifestyle, the things you can do with your nutrition, and potential supplements might be helpful for you in increasing GLP-1. If you notice, all of these things that I listed outside the supplements are things we teach here at DMA Weight and Wellness all the time. So we are focusing on your nutrition, your exercise, and sleep. And then we also focus on stress. And I bet you stress will also decrease GLP-1. We know it increases cortisol. We know it increases hunger. So it seems like it would be a roundabout loop there where it would also decrease the production of GLP-1 too. So if you're following our plan, just know that you're doing things to help increase your natural GLP-1. And we hear all the time people come in after the first 3 weeks and said, yeah, I was able to skip meals and drop snacks because I just wasn't hungry. I stopped thinking about food. And that's because if we get your protein high enough and get your natural fats in there, you're making your own GLP-1 and you're making your gut healthier through that whole process. All right, guys, remember Low Carb for Better Health is coming up. I hope you got your ticket because it is sold out, but you still can purchase the recordings. So if you want all of the information from all the awesome speakers, learning about how to help your mental health with low carb diets, how to stay on track. We've got a whole bunch of different speakers talking in different avenues, fitness, all kinds of stuff. So the recordings are only $20. They're well worth it, and you can watch them at your leisure after they come out at your own pace. And they're going to be high quality recordings done by a professional, not done by me. But even though you will see my face up there, being the MC person. So if you have not bought a ticket and you want access to the recordings, go to lc4bh.com. That's lc4bh.com. Go to get tickets and look for the recordings only, and you can have access to them forever and ever. Amen. Okay, until next week, stay healthy and watch out for that back